Today I am joined by Urbana Police Chief Larry Boone here to talk a little bit more about how the Urbana Police Department is doing. Thanks for joining us on the morning show.
Well, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So you have been in this position 2 years last month?
That's correct.
How have things been going? Welcome to Urbana.
Well, things have been going relatively great once I understood the landscape a little better. We are putting together our community engagement team. I'm looking forward to that. We're looking at putting together our satellite substation on Philo Road to address some of the issues out there. I like to refer to it honestly as our community substation, because when you start saying satellite substation, it turns people off. So our community substation, about to make a host of promotions to include 2 new deputy chiefs, 2 new lieutenants, and 5 to 6 sergeants. Anytime a chief has an opportunity to do something like that, you have an opportunity to change culture. So my philosophy has always been community engagement and law enforcement. In order for you to be successful, you have to have both components equally applied. So thank you for the question.
Yes. So talk a little bit more about your community engagement plans moving forward.
Sure. So one of the things I recognized when I was making a decision whether or not I would come out to Urbana was the energy that some of the officers had with respect to community engagement. I was in Norfolk, Virginia on my couch doing some research, and I saw that some of the officers were very engaged, but I also recognized that a lot of what they were doing were not being recognized holistic, okay, and not being celebrated by the department. You know, they were doing some fantastic work. And one of the things that intrigued me about Urbana was that it was an opportunity to build a police department couched in 21st century policing, and 21st century policing has a component of community engagement. So we're going to put together a team of 3, 1 community engagement sergeant, 2 community engagement officers. They'll have community engagement vehicles. They'll be strategically positioned in communities based on data that says that they need more resources than others. We're looking for active partnerships. When I say active partnerships, actionable partnerships that actually do stuff together, and we actually measure what we're doing, which leads me to data. I'm data-driven. When I arrived at Urbana, we weren't quite as data-driven as I like. Absent of data, you tend to make mistakes because you tend to make decisions based on anecdotal history. Data points you to the right direction. And we have data meetings weekly. The department has embraced it. The community has embraced it. I post our data on our social media platform every month, broken down by wards, broken down by city, broken down by the types of crimes that the FBI requires us to capture.
And I know we have a couple of those pulled up here right now, but can you tell me any, maybe any recent crime statistics that stand out to you?
So on arrival, I'll give you the genesis of it. On arrival to Urbana, one of the things that stood out to me was domestic violence. And having grown up in a home myself where domestic violence occurred frequently, naturally, it was something near and dear to my heart. But not only that, it was really driving crime in Urbana. And I just mentioned actionable partnerships. So we partner with Courage Connection, which is a nonprofit that addresses domestic violence, and we share data, and we tend to try to focus on some of the most chronic incidents. Our data points us to those type of incidents where our officers tend to go to sometimes as many as 7 times a month. And I can tell you, based on my experience, when we have to go to the same location that many times, it's not going to end well. So what I'm happy to report, since we started this partnership, crime, particularly domestic violence, the number of domestic violence have started to go down. So those are the type of things I embrace when it comes to policing, is you have law enforcement and you have a partner that helps you address the issue, because you hear it all the time. The community is the police department, the department is the community. So I embrace that notion.
I love that. And a quick side note
Sure.
before we wrap things up here. This is not your first go as chief of police. You were working in Norfolk, Virginia for how many years?
So 33 years. I came up through the ranks.
Very cool.
Applied in 1989 and worked my way through the ranks. I was the first officer in the history of that department to occupy every rank before becoming
Wow.
chief. And I was chief in Norfolk for 6.5 years.
That is incredible. So have you brought any of those skills and knowledge over to Urbana? Did you make any changes just based on what you've learned over there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I made a host of changes, and I'm still making changes because one of the things that attracted me to Urbana, I was at the time I was in the running for Cincinnati, St. Louis, and Urbana. Urbana had an opportunity for me to build. Okay. Great officers. I love their spirit. I love their can-do attitude. But there was some hardware, okay, and some software, and some spirit that was missing. So I embraced that challenge to implement those items.
Very cool. Well, I am very excited to learn a little bit more about you. We're going to continue this conversation over on our new WCIA Plus app. Head over there. We're going to learn a little bit more about Chief Boone.